Welcome to testing paint strippers on my own kitchen table. We promised you the world.
It will be awesome. I think we've around 10 brands.
And boy, are we going to deliver.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
I must warn you, we're very easily impressed. This is our jam. We absolutely loved it. It's an understatement to say we loved it. Basically, my wife wants her table back. It was like a Montessori school table for a long time. So we started with a white table. That's the way the table was. We wanted to stain it. So I said, this is a great opportunity to strip off the paint and test all the paint strippers in the Irish market. White woodwork paint is not a great test. So we said, let's add on 4 coats of enamel. So we put red over 2/3 of the table, then 2 coats of yellow over half of the table, and the last quarter got a coat of blue. So basically on that blue part, you're going to have 1 coat of blue, 2 coats of yellow, 1 coat of red and 1 coat of white. So our technical director, Aaron, he divided the table into 11 equal sections. So the table is 900 millimetres wide and each section was 200 millimetres long. First of all, we had a pep talk at 8:30 and Aaron did out all of the figures. He had already put together an Excel sheet on timings that they'd take, the VOCs, the coverage, their density, kilograms per litre, the volume we'd need. And then he had comments for each of them if they needed extra coats. So here are all of the brands. Now, we won't be dissing anybody's brand. We never have. We never will. This is a comparative exercise. If it says it's a paint stripper on the can, then it will strip paint. However, as with most things in life, there's a huge difference in all of the characteristics of each of these products. First up, it's Peel Tec. Michelle applied it at 9:26 a.m. We took it off at 9:46 a.m. Very quick, very convenient because it's an aerosol. But the drawback of it being an aerosol too was it's very difficult to see where you've covered, where you haven't covered. You need to really lash it on. We gave 3 applications just to make sure we hit all spots. No guidance was given from the manufacturer for when to remove it, but it should be visually obvious. We applied what we thought in practice to be 125 millilitres for our 0.2 square metre area, but it's extremely difficult to quantify if it's an aerosol, what volume you are applying, so you can't weigh it out. You can see there the results were inconsistent and we had really good results in parts and not as good in other parts, and that's down to application really, and I think any user would find that. So extremely strong solvent smell. This one has 89% solvents, but other than that, the long and short of it is it's very convenient to use and it would definitely be a go-to for banisters and awkward areas to get to, but bear in mind your ventilation, it really has a lot of solvents. Next up, it's Nitromors. Mike applied it at 9:31 a.m. We removed it at 10:25 a.m. So quite a standard time, not a long time to wait. Quite a low volume is required by the manufacturer, so we only had to apply 75 millilitres for our 0.2 metre squared area. We applied the requested amount, but that wasn't enough. It was ineffective at that volume. It was quite effective on the first 2 coats. So have a look there, the white and the red came off quite easily. So it just needs double the application for multiple coats, which is fine. We think if it was applied thicker than the 2.7 metres squared per litre that the manufacturer recommended, that would have helped and it would have lifted a lot easier. So see there, it came off with relative ease on the white and red. And when you got onto the heavier coats, the yellow and the blue, it didn't come off quite as easily. So just more product required. So next up, Blackfriar, a brand you'll see in shops nationwide. Very quick. Gillian applied it at 9:39 a.m. We were able to remove it by 9:45 a.m. Bear in mind we haven't covered a single eco paint stripper yet. These are all ones with your hazard labels. This was super quick. Have a look there. There was lots of oohs and ahs for that bit. So it was quite effective, but I think like Nitromors, where the manufacturer let it down a little bit, was recommending such a low body of paint stripper to be applied. So the manufacturer's recommendation is 4 metres squared per litre. So we only needed 50 millilitres to cover our 900 by 200 millimetre strip. So our total area is 0.2 metres squared. Bear in mind some of the manufacturers asked for 200 millilitres for this same size. So while this removed the surface paint well, it left lots of paint in the ridges and required much more elbow grease. It did really well on the white and red, but not well at all on the blue, and only okay on the yellow. So like Nitromors, a good product, but we think the recommended amount is not sufficient, that we would double up the volume of the product being applied if it was up to us, and it would be much more effective. Next up we have Peelaway. This one's a little bit more complicated, but for the right project, it will be incredible. You need a huge volume. You paste it on with a spatula. So Mike applied it at 9:47 a.m. You'll see us checking it a few times, and we took it off at 12 p.m. So it's a little bit more cumbersome for a DIYer. You must use a poultice blanket. You leave it for anywhere between half an hour to 48 hours, checking it regularly, which is slightly frustrating if you have to check it regularly over that space of time. But I think that's because it can do up to 20 coats. You need 1 metre squared per kilo, so we applied 200 grams for our 0.2 metre squared area. See there, you could see through the paper when it was starting to crinkle. And look at her come off. It was a joy to watch coming off. So the long and short of it is, this one comes very highly recommended for cornices, brickwork and renovation jobs, especially on delicate old surfaces. There's a bit of work to it, but it can remove up to 20 coats in one go. So 100% worth it for the right project. Highly effective, but does take that extra bit of time and an extra bit of work. But look at that. And last thing to add, it is not suitable for 2-pack epoxies. Most of these are not, bar the Berling one coming up at the end. Little to none of them do 2-pack epoxies. And again, this one isn't seen as an eco one. We have 2 eco ones today, and only one of which is VOC free. There's a huge amount of information here to share, so I'm going to do a part 2 to squeeze it all in. So far we've covered 1 aerosol, 1 poultice special application and 2 standard ones. Yet to come are all of our eco options.